Aloha, Sales Wizardry community. I'm so stoked to be here. It's been a while. It's been about a week since I've been live. So welcome to all of my new members. To those of you that do not know me, my name is Marina. Welcome to this beautiful community where all things energy and weird, a little bit of woo. I call it practical magic. I don't really go by any specific notion of spirituality necessarily, but I teach you the energetic aspects of sales and marketing as well as the strategic and marry the both. So I call myself the intuitive business mentor. However, that's just a fancy title for one who combines all things strategy and intuition and practical magic, as some people called it, and all things energy to explain to you sales, marketing, clarity, niching, all of these challenges that entrepreneurs have in the service-based business world. I'm going to tag a couple of people. As you pop in, I see somebody's popping in. Please let me know who you are. Say hi. Where are you watching from? And please let me know what has been your specific journey with finding clarity so far in your business. I find that a lot of entrepreneurs have spun their wheels trying to find this, and it has prevented them from moving forward in a way that they want to. It has prevented entrepreneurs from this kind of purposeful and aligned action. It has prevented entrepreneurs from expressing themselves and expressing their message to the audiences that are meant to hear them. So if you are here, and if this sounds like you, please let me know what has been your specific journey with clarity so far. As I tag a couple of people who I think would really love this live, please let me know what kind of journey have you had so far when it comes to finding clarity in your business. Have you spun your wheels for a good few years? Have you felt like you can't take aligned action? Have you felt kind of confused about who to market to? And every time you sit down at your computer, you're like, I have so much to give, and nothing is like coming out of my brain and my fingertips when I try and type. Please let me know what has been your journey with this so far. I'm going to tag two more people who I know are going to really love this live stream, either live or replay. Hello, Carrie. Good to see you. How has your journey been with this notion of clarity? Barb. And as you answer this question, I am going to start with my notes about why it has been so hard for service-based entrepreneurs, because this is not an uncommon issue. Just to kind of paint a little bit of a picture for you, it's just as you say, yeah, it can spin your wheels. To kind of relate to you a little bit more, for me personally, I have spun my wheels for approximately 2 years. 2 years trying to define that perfect elevator speech, trying to figure out how do I combine all of my gifts together into an offer, let alone how do I even sell it? How do I make it attractive to people? Like, is it necessarily like a specific tangible outcome that I need to lead with? What if my work is so widely transformative that the kind of outcomes that people get as a result is not just like, oh, 10K a month, which is great, right? It's great. But I mean, what if it's not just like weight loss? What if it's not finding their soul alignment or something? Like, what does that mean, right? So as transformational entrepreneurs, we are playing with such a bigger product and such a bigger potential that the reason why these kinds of conflicts exist and these kinds of feelings of like, oh my God, am I ever gonna break through with this notion of clarity, is because the notion of business and entrepreneurship is different for service-based entrepreneurs than that of traditional businesses. This notion and this concept has been passed down, just so you understand where this concept comes from. It comes from corporate background. It comes from corporate structures. It comes from highly tangible outcome-based businesses, such as like you go to the gym, you lose weight. Even then, right, going to the gym, and it's highly tactile and physical businesses that highly benefit from such intense targeted clarity. With service-based entrepreneurs, it is slightly different, right? So you need to understand as far as like where this dynamic and where this concept comes from, so you know what to do instead. So in this live stream, I encourage you to grab a notepad because I am going to go through a step-by-step process that I actually take my clients through, but just kind of more of a crash course to help them kind of unlock this notion of clarity and to begin at least moving forward from wherever you are right now. And this is going to cover some mindset about like what you think about you have right now as far as your notion of clarity. This is going to cover some action steps as far as like where you can go on a scavenger hunt to find this clarity all around you right now. And this is going to cover some of the more strategic implementation so that you can go ahead and start moving forward, because I realize this is one of the most frustrating challenges that service-based entrepreneurs have that completely stops us dead in our tracks. It feels somewhat elusive, and also the one thing I think might shift everything. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Good. I'm so glad you're excited. Those of you that are popping in, I want to know, what has been your journey with clarity so far? Has it stopped you dead in your tracks? And I'm going to go ahead and start hammering off some of the things that I have. Hi, Kylie. Good to see you. I'm so glad you made it on this notion of clarity. I think this live stream is actually going to be really awesome for you too. So Kylie is a friend of mine that we hang out here on Maui together and experience some amazing, beautiful things that Maui has to offer. So as you type out what has been your journey with clarity so far, I'm going to continue on my notes. I prepared notes today, otherwise I'm going to go off on tangents. So the other place that it comes from is single expertise businesses, such as Nike shoes, right? This is where it comes from, like single expertise type of places. There's been a cycling of clarity and uncertainty. I've been trying to play with my energy states more to stay with the clarity more often to keep moving forward. Okay, and somebody's trying to get on the live. Okay, there's Nicole. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to cover some of the ways that you can begin unraveling that, so that, you know, because a lot of times we start to feel like there's something wrong with us. So we go the energy route, feeling like maybe it's my ancestral trauma. Maybe it's my imbalance of masculine and feminine energies, which is why I can't achieve this notion of clarity and express my work to those people who need it, right? Hi, Nicole. Hi, Julie. I'm so glad to see you all. I feel like this live stream is really going to help you. So the other place that this kind of concept comes from that's been hammered down our throats of like, you need to have a crystal clear this and this and message for service-based entrepreneurs is, like I said, product-based businesses and highly tangible outcomes, such as like, you buy this shoe, you're going to look sexy. You're going to take these supplements, or you're going to use this skin cream and it's going to do this for you. When you're dealing with people, and when you're dealing as a service-based entrepreneur who works with psychology, who works with energetic understanding, who works with people past, present, and future versions in multidimensional ways, like some of you do, who works with, you know, people's potential, right? Who works with people's physical bodies, because mind, body, and soul are all connected. This kind of notion of X equals, or X plus Y equals Z does not work for us. And I'm going to cover what to do instead. But just so you know where this comes from and why it has worked for some businesses, it may not necessarily work for you, and that is fine, right? So what begins to happen internally? Internally, as a lot of you here have mentioned already, it begins making you feel like you're somehow wrong. It begins making you adapt this notion of like scarcity, like I don't have clarity, which makes you in this kind of hamster wheel of a mindset and energy of having to seek more and seek more mentorship and throw money at the situation and do more energy work and completely unravel your life and think that there's something wrong with you simply because you can't express what you do, right? It's like a whole energetic cycle, and it's a very toxic structure that's been perpetuated by the coaching world. There's nothing wrong with you. You are absolutely brilliant, and you have everything you need right now, and I'm going to show you how to excavate that. And there's this mindset that you have just one expertise or just one sole purpose You being on the planet right now, you're already living your soul's purpose. You are a highly creative being who can work with things that are textile, who can create paintings, who can create words. Hi, Natasha, good to see you. So no, there's not just one soul's purpose that you have, and you already are living that. So that's one of the mindset things that gets perpetuated by this notion of having to come up with a niche and crystal clear box of how to craft your message and craft your offers, right? It creates a lot of internal conflict. So as soon as we can start letting go of this internal conflict, we can begin on the clarity piece. So again, the symptoms, as you guys have already mentioned, over-analysis, unnecessary spinning, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of being not enough, not highlighting what you already have right now, and not being able to see the forest for the trees of all of the foundations that you already have right now when it comes to your notion of clarity, right? So what happens? Again, like I said, you have been fed this reel of perfection. You know, you see this on Facebook all the time. Well, if only I had like a 3-step, some sort of elevator pitch all of a sudden, then I can make sales. Again, another myth, because a sale is simply a conversation. It doesn't mean that you have to market outwards in order to create the sales or in order to attract the people into your world who are meant to be guided by you, right? And not building from the foundation that you have here, but instead it creates this kind of search outward of constant scrolling on Facebook, of thinking someone else with a pretty process may have an answer. And the reason why this is happening to you, there's service to this mental state. The reason why is because most of you are high integrity beings. Like, you want to make sure that you communicate clearly. You want to make sure that your offers provide the results that you state. So whenever a coach tells you, oh, just lead with the 10K month, and it doesn't feel an integrity for you, like, this is why you have a lot of these like mindset and spinning and feeling like there's something wrong with you, because you're actually in high integrity and you have high standards for how you want your clients to feel after working with you, and you want to be honest. So a lot of these mindsets that you have right now are actually really good. So if you can begin to see them for what they are right now, you will begin to find gold in that. How is this resonating with all of you? Because I'm going to start kind of hammering off some action steps as far as how to unravel that mindset, some of the strategy about where you can begin finding that clarity, and where you begin finding specific, sorry, I'm getting texted by a participant, where you can begin finding this clarity in the foundation that you have right now, so that you can begin moving forward and get yourself out of this hamster wheel rut. How is this resonating with all of you so far? Hi, Allison. Hi, Natasha. I think I've already said hello to you. Good to see you. I'm so glad all of you could make it. Carrie says, love this. Awesome Blossom. I'm so glad that this is resonating with you so far. Kylie says, purple heart. Awesome. So I just did this really amazing group call, and some of you that are here were actually on it. And every single individual on that group call has come from a different entrepreneurial background. Some are more analytical and have been, developing their businesses through highly systemized approaches, and some people have been more, spiritual. And still, this notion of clarity was the most popular topic about, I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like I can't move forward. No matter like what kind of service you provide. Listening but not fully able to engage. Right on. Feel free to post questions if you have them. One of the first things that I said to my group call, and this is one of the first notions for you to begin unraveling a lot of this spinning and a lot of this like, oh my God, I need to come up with clear, oh my God, is to realize that you are a bushwhacker. being in the world of entrepreneurship, you have escaped from corporate structures for a reason, right? You are here to create a completely different path, a completely different structure, a completely different notion of what marketing means, which is no wonder you are having a difficult time fitting your really highly creative, transformational, multidimensional self into a box, into an elevator speech, into just one thing that you do for a person. So the first thing, just remember this. Every single day when you wake up, and every single day you go and write content as far as like, why can't I get my shit together? If you reverse that by simply saying, I'm a bushwhacker, I'm here to pioneer a completely new and different way, that would be the first place to start. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Just remind yourself that you already are living your purpose. You already are doing your thing. The whole notion now is simply to find evidence of how your life's purpose has been expressing itself throughout all of the experiences that you have already lived, through all of the transformations that you have already provided, through all of the hobbies that you naturally are drawn to, through all of the feedback that you have already gotten, whether it be from your past clients, whether it be from your spouse, whether it be from people who found you difficult to deal with. There are gold nuggets of genius and skill sets within each and every single one of those experiences. So you are already on track. If you're here, you're already on track. So if you can begin shifting your mindset from like, I don't know what I'm doing, to like, I'm already doing it, it's going to begin shifting your energy from inside out to the way how you approach the rest of these steps is going to shift for you. So that would be the first place to start, is allow yourself to believe that you already have the foundation, that you already are on the path. You're simply driving at night, and your headlights only are illuminating about 100 feet in front of you. Doesn't mean that the highway in front of you doesn't exist, and you still are going to get to the destination in your road trip. And the whole thing is not to get to a specific destination, but that's a whole other philosophical discussion. So I used this notion of building a campground. I used this example with my group call of building a campground when it comes to building your offer and building the journey. Let me see, should I do that now? Let me just take a look at, you know what, let me just go through a couple more mindset things before we go into like offer building from what you have right now. A couple more mindset things. You already have a lot of foundations. What was really surprising for me to see on the group call, whenever people had come to me, I'm like, you know what, just spit out your ideas, brain dump them. They already have so much more clarity than they were aware of just by simply talking it out to me. The only problem was simply organizing it into something more neat, which we're going to go through. But if you can go ahead and start to adapt, like, wow, all of this stuff that is overwhelming me is actually my foundational building blocks that are already here. So if you can shift your mindset to that initially, all of the rest of the steps are going to be a lot easier for you. Because this hamster wheel and this energy that you're currently in of like, I don't know, I must, oh my God, you're operating from scarcity, you're operating from frantic, you're operating from chaos, you're operating from comparisonitis, you're operating from a state of being that somehow, some way, somebody out there is somehow more brilliant than you are, which is completely draining your energy outwards onto your screen, onto your phone, instead of onto your piece of paper and onto your Facebook post that you could be writing, right? So begin by shifting this first. So action steps to do. Should I mention the campground? Sorry, I'm just trying to feel out where to go next. I noticed, okay, I have mentioned to my group call this notion of creating a campground, of creating your journey that is your offer, that is your entrepreneurial empire, that is where people come to hang out, right? And your stance of marketing is simply guiding them through this campground. However, for some of you, this campground may not quite be built yet, which is where we're going to go first. If those of you who have already have some sort of skeleton of an offer, if you can imagine this being a campground where you're simply guiding people to be like, hey, this is the lake that we're going to go skinny dipping in. This is the bathroom. This is where you're going to sleep. Does that mean you need to go ahead and state out loud, be like, I guide people to the lake, we're going to go skinny dipping, we're going to have an experience and toast marshmallows? No, like, right, is eventually that kind of an umbrella of being like, I have a campground and people can take whatever kind of buffet of experience that they want. That's going to happen on its own. But the problem here is you're trying to like build the campground and all of the experiences in it and talk about it all at once, which is why you're creating this kind of frantic and scattered type of mindset about like, I need to market. In the process that I take my clients through, marketing is actually like the last thing we do, and sometimes I don't even teach it. The reason being is because a lot of you already know how to market and how to talk and how to be excited about the things that you do. The problem is just simply trying to find the right single places to insert the right single experiences of your offers in the right places. So I wanted to mention that as a bigger picture, but let's go to the action steps of how to divulge and start building this campground one by one so that you don't get overwhelmed. If you have not created an offer yet at all, first of all, take inventory, right? It's almost like right now, all of your guys' houses are scattered, yet it's like such a beautiful property with so much opportunity. The first part is to like simply face what you have and go through all of the hoarded clothing that you can eventually try on, that you can maybe utilize for dress ups later, whatever. This is what you're going to do. You're going to take inventory of everything that you have thus far. And here are some of the places to look. You're going to look at the testimonials that clients have already provided for you. Some of your favorite testimonials, right? Take a look at them with very objective and curious eyeballs. Like, what are some of the things that people are highlighting more than you may realize, right? Are people highlighting the fact that they were able to connect to their soulmate? Are people connecting more on how you have been able to heal their gut? Are people more raving about your ability to give them clarity in business? Are people more raving about how you have connected them to their soul's purpose? Like, what is it that's the most common and kind of like consistent thing that comes up? If that is scattered for you, don't worry about it initially. Just collect that as a piece to play with. Because every single one of those testimonials can become a marketing piece. And I'm going to go through that in just a second. Is this making sense for you, for those of you that are watching, as far as how to go through your testimonials and start picking up these buzzwords to then create with? It's almost like you're Marie Kondo. You're picking the things that light you up the most. Like, check out this testimonial. Does this light me up? Okay, sweet, awesome. How about this? What is this stuff? Okay, let's go ahead and clean that out. Natasha says, yes, amazing, amazing. The other place to take a look at when you start to take a look at your taking inventory is what are some of the past marketing things that you have done, or live streams that you have done, or the events that you have done. Makes sense? Spark joy. I don't know what that means. What do you mean spark joy? Do you spark joy in people's lives? What are some of the, your most popular posts? What are some of the ways that people naturally get like attracted to you in the online space? Like, what kind of posts? For me, one of the things I'm beginning to realize, like, people really get attracted to like lifestyle posts. So I've been leading more with that, and people really get attracted to like storytelling and analogy posts because that becomes like more personal. But take inventory of that as yet another like building block to like, okay, I have this. How can I play with this? We're going to address that later. But at least you will see just how much of a foundation of clarity that you have, right? Begin picking some of your favorite ones, the clients that have lit you up the most, the clients that have gotten the most amount of transformation. Marie Kondo's thing. Only keep things that spark joy. Yes, exactly. Right? Collect this kind of inventory from the places that spark the most joy, or have created the biggest transformation, or light you up the most, or have been kind of consistent, over and over. Like, the clients that I work with that have lit me up the most have been this particular person with this particular challenge. It might not be that clear for you right now, but that's okay. We're just taking inventory. That's going to be the first step. Okay, just to get you moving to doing something rather than like searching outwards. You're literally going to take a look at what kind of toys you have to play with and start to see like how amazing you actually are, right? It's essentially like house cleaning. Like you don't know right now what you have to play with because you're like, oh my God, where is this clarity? Instead of being like, hold on, it's right here. Look at this person, right? So take this inventory, allow yourself to be really curious about it. If you are completely brand new and you're watching this, and if you're, which I highly doubt, most of you already have some sort of a skeleton of an offer or have already worked with clients, but if you are completely brand new and just have no idea where the hell to start, some of the places you may start taking a look at is like the past jobs that you have had and taking like almost like a resume style brain dump of all of your skill sets that you have acquired. Asking your spouses for feedback. The reason why I put that there is because your spouses are going to give you notions of your genius that other people may not, right? Most of your friends might see you like in a really good light, but your spouse might give you a more honest feedback. Like I asked my boyfriend initially when I was searching for clarity, I'm like, what is the one thing that like pisses you off a lot about me? And one of the things he said is you ask a lot of questions. And this has been one of the biggest tools that I have in my coaching now, is the ability to create things like market research, the ability to create this kind of clarity, the ability to create these processes for you with the right kinds of questions, right? Take a look at some of your life's experiences that you have that have transformed you as a person and see what kind of gifts have come from that. Ask your friends for feedback. You never know what kind of consistencies or what kind of things you may get from there. And I know this may or may not overwhelm you initially a lot, but allow this to enter this space as more of like an abundance mindset type deal of like, instead of I don't have clarity, look at all of these things I have. Look at all of the foundations that I have. Look at all of the things that I built up until now. So that's the first step to go. If you already have a clear picture of that, then stay tuned for the next one. The next step would be going deeper. Your expertise doesn't come from like creating this kind of like zoomed out version of you, but your expertise comes from the specificity, right? Somebody gave me this example one day about like a peanut butter company. That a peanut butter company knows all about peanut butter by studying the peanut. A good winery creates really amazing wine, not from just the climate and the leaves and who waters the trees, but picking the right grape, right? Starbucks, your $7 Frappuccino, the high ticket offer, didn't come from the barista making it and, you know, the smile on their face and them knowing you by your drink. It has started with the coffee. So the deeper you can go into like these individual places of your offer, the better. And how does that apply to business? Let's kind of backtrack for a second. Say, for instance, as you're like taking inventory about, you know, how you have facilitated a client journey so far, you become a student of your own work and you start studying your process in such a specific way. So I'll give you an example for one of my processes. One of the things that I started doing is I started doing like intuitive channeling for people. But what really fascinated me is like, how did I do that? Like, what specific steps did I do that? What has created this kind of, you know, ability for me? And I started like getting really, really deep into my magic, right? Which has began creating kind of this expertise that now whenever I like tune into somebody's business, most of the time they're like, oh my God, how did you just do that? Let me kind of create a more tangible or like processized example. So one of the processes that I do is this, right? This is one of the first steps that I do with my clients, is really taking inventory of everything that there is. And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? I started studying my process like so immensely, as far as like, how did I go through that? How did I do that for so-and-so? What created a breakthrough for her? What created a breakthrough for him in just this one phase of creating clarity? And I picked the things that have created the most breakthroughs, such as intuitive channeling, such as asking these deeper questions, such as taking a look at the most joyful clients that you have worked with so far, taking a look at testimonials, and potentially even doing some market research, right? So I started divulging and developing like expertise within that process because I started studying it on a shorter aspect. I'm not worried yet about them being able to make the 10K sale, because there's still steps to get there about their confidence in sales, whatever. I'm just worried about them getting clarity right now. Is this making sense to those of you that are watching? And do you want to bring up an example of how you can go deeper with a client testimonial, or how you can go deeper with an aspect of your process that you've been practicing so far? And the reason why is because then you can write about it a lot clearer, which we're going to get to next. And I'm going to tie it all together for you too. Yes, yes, yes. Does anybody want to bring up an example here that I can help you divulge? Feel free to do so in the comments before I move on to the next step of how to kind of tie it together. There's a couple more steps actually. I've been going deeper with the aspect of self-worth as a part of subconscious work. Yeah, so because I know a little bit about your work, so Hung practices this modality that allows you to shift subconscious beliefs in a highly like tactical way, where you work with the body and you create certain techniques that balance out and immediately remove, erase, and reinstall new subconscious beliefs. It's a pretty fascinating modality, right? However, it's not just the modality that you're leading. What allows you to then create epic pieces of marketing is divulging that one peanut of like, what are some of the consistencies that clients are coming to me with? And some of the consistencies are the aspect of self-worth and being enough, right? So then you can go deeper into that. What are the beliefs that people have that could then be used in my modality to shift, that I could then make as a part of my process, as a part of my journey? Does that make sense? Does anybody else kind of want to give an example here, or if you need help of how to divulge this, and then how to, I'm going to tie it in last as far as like how you can tie it into your marketing. I'm seeing hearts, so I'm seeing that you all understand. Consistency is miracles in the body. Can you elaborate on that? Consistency in what way? Consistent, like certain health practices, consistency in business and how you show up, consistency in your like meditation routine. Because each one of those, see, like creates a whole new rabbit trail with which you can market. And that could be like creation of content for literally like a week for you, right? Can you elaborate a little more? Because I'm actually fascinated. My consistency. Oh, your consistency as far as like what you're seeing and like miracles that occur in the body, which is awesome, right? So what if you were to go ahead and like divulge each miracle that happens? Like, say if you pick like the most amazing miracle that you have been able to facilitate, gut health, pain, infertility, right? So check this out. This is actually really cool. Is one of the next places that I'm going to is talking about leading with modality and leading with like an umbrella of like gut health, pain, infertility, psyche, like Hung practices, right? Leading with those miracles in the body gives you epic marketing content that creates clarity, that cuts straight through to the individual who's like, oh my God, she gets me. So check this out. For instance, say your campground is this umbrella of gut health, pain, and infertility, right? Like that's your big campground, that's your big empire, right? Does that make sense? So the experiences that happen within your work are going to be like, we're going skinny dipping. So today, we're going to focus on a miracle in the body. So just by focusing on a miracle in the body, there's so many different umbrella ways that you can go that can create epic marketing for you. So for instance, you can go the direction of this one client was having like pain during sex and was not able to orgasm, and then had the most earth-shattering orgasm with her husband or something like that, right? And you can create a story about that and meet people where they are. Because right now, if people are like not having orgasms, they may be going elsewhere thinking that they need some sort of like, masculine or feminine energy healing or something. Or they may need, I don't know, a new dildo. Whatever it is that they're looking for that miracle for them to occur. So your marketing could go along the lines of like, you don't need to find another dildo in order for you to have an orgasm. Like what is actually happening in your body is this, and this, and this, which allows you to build authority through that expertise and be like, hey, take a story of my client and then discuss it in as much detail as you want to discuss orgasms. But that's just kind of like, one of the examples that came through. Or like infertility, right? I mean, people go through crazy amounts of surgeries and money and grief and trauma because they have lost, unborn babies, and the value that this miracle that can be provided as a result of your work is like immense. So if you take the notion of miracles in the body from the standpoint of somebody being infertile, and then all of a sudden as a result of your work, they were able to conceive, that can create content for you for the next month if you take different angles. So say for instance, you could take the angle of creating a story about your client. You can take an angle of shifting perspective of what people think they need right now, which is go through surgeries, go through crazy fertility treatments, do in vitro surgery. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know much about infertility. Seeking potentially a donor, seeking a surrogate mother, adopting children, whatever, right? You can go on this notion of belief shifting of all of these things that people are considering, and the miracle that is your work that they haven't considered instead. Imagine what kind of a marketing post that could be, right? You could also take the angle of infertility about what it's costing you not to work with you, kind of more of like boasting your own work. You can take the angle of utilizing like engagement questions. What do you think you need in order to conceive that miracle baby of yours, right? Which creates so much opportunity for you to then go ahead, spark conversations, and sign on a client for your miracle health modality. Is this kind of making sense for you? Because as you go deeper and deeper into that aspect, there's so many opportunities for you. Does that mean you are bound to work with infertility clients only? Absolutely not. By me doing this live stream and helping you achieve a notion of clarity, does that mean I am bound to only help people with clarity? Absolutely not. Because what happens in my packages is so much more than that, but this is just one aspect of the journey. Is this making sense for you, Natasha? Do you have any additional questions on that? Is there something else that I can help you kind of divulge or see it in this light? Carrie says, I have so powerful results in healing, but I'm unclear on how to combine it with that 10K month client in my marketing. But why do you have to? I feel like, so we have hung out in some similar circles, so I feel like this notion of leading with the tangibles has been really hammered down your head about you have results in healing, but the 10K month thing is you're attached to that. If your consistency, here's the thing, if your consistency is because of your healing, all of a sudden people make a whole bunch of money, you can take a similar approach in your marketing, kind of like I divulged for Natasha. So what are some of the consistencies that you are receiving in in your client transformations. When it comes to healing, like what kind of things happen in their life and what are the things that they're most likely to rave to you about? Yeah, right? Who told you that? I mean, don't tell me. I might have an idea. But question that. Like, what the hell kind of perspective on marketing is that? Does that mean I can't make a sale and create a high-ticket offer and serve powerfully because I'm not putting the 10K month in my headline? Who the hell told me that? Like, challenge that perspective. That would be the first place I would encourage you to go, especially because I know we have hung out in similar circles. And there's definitely truth to that. When you begin divulging your work in the same kind of way that I just kind of described for Natasha, of looking at the peanuts, of looking at each part of the journey, which is what I'm going to go to next in the process. So it's awesome that you guys are bringing up these questions. A lot of these tangibles will kind of find them, because it's almost like what's happening with like trying to put a 10K month cap on top of trying to put a 10K month cap on top of like a head that doesn't fit it's like it's creating this awkwardness and creating this disconnection. If somebody told you that this is what you must lead with in marketing versus figuring out like what is the consistency that people are raving about. So if you have amazing results in healing, what I also would encourage you to do to gain a little bit more clarity on that is to go to your past clients and be like, hey, in your eyes, what is the most profound result that you have received? Like, what is the biggest thing that matters to you that you have gotten as a result of working with me? Like, people make money as a result of working with me, but when I ask for testimonials, a lot of times, like, one of the biggest notions that comes in is the notion of self-trust. So I'll give you an example. In my business now, I'm teaching intuitive and psychic development. The notion of self-trust in business and the notion of self-trust in psychic development, it's all one big umbrella tangible that I can go off on so many different topics, right? I think that this is my gap. Do you mean the gap as far as like what is the consistency of the results that people are valuing? I'm curious to hear more about that. I'm gonna blabble some more about the action steps that I have here, but I would love to divulge this with you. So keep writing. The next step is like focusing on the client's journey. So one of the coolest exercises that I gave to one of my group participants for the group call is to put their client journey into a Trello board. Because with a Trello board, you can move it around, you can maneuver it every which way, you could add different Trello boards in it, you could change about the different, order as far as how that all happens. But each one of those Trello boards creates amazing and epic content, right? I think I also have some hesitance about going more in the woo-woo direction. Yes, people are not going to pay for this stuff. And it's all a matter of like positioning to not sound like a like a Alice in Wonderland spiritual that, what to write instead of the 10K that will attract clients. Ooh, yeah, this is interesting that you're bringing it up because it's a mindset that if I'm not a business coach, I can't make money, right? It's interesting because as somebody who walks my talk, I have to give you an example. Like, I used to believe that too, and then I felt like a part of me was like out of integrity. I'm like, well, do I have a transformational modality that people would buy? And I have sold high-ticket offers that focus on psychic development. When it comes to psychic development, the things that come as a result of it are so endless. The individual that has signed up with me for psychic development, she thought she was being haunted by an entity and she wanted to learn how to have more confidence to dispel that shit out of her life, right? And she paid me like high 4 figures to work with me for 4 months to learn how to do this. So will people pay? Yeah, right? It's all a matter of presenting what is it that they value and what kind of things happen as a result of your miracles on your client journey and giving them a perspective shift. Everything and anything could be sold. So I would not be sitting here preaching this, and I had a hard time initially, like when I first started this business, sitting here and like preaching the transformational modalities and the value of it and blah, 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 up until I did it myself. But now that I have done it myself, I can assure you that yes, absolutely. Like if I was to write a post right now about somebody, you know, being haunted by an entity and, you know, saying some sort of a miraculous process that I have taken, which it was a miraculous process, that I have taken my client through that have helped her dispel the entity and have, you know, confidence in the ability to manage the energy around her and be aware of the energy around her herself. If I position that right, I bet so many people would be like, I never even thought of that before, but I need that shit. Right? So that's the notion whenever it comes to marketing more transformational modalities, is presenting a perspective shift. But where you want to start first is outlining a client journey. I presume and I imagine that you had already worked with clients and that you had already achieved results. What I would encourage you to do is, instead of looking outwards at this 10K thing or the tangible thing, is look in at the kind of magic that you have already created, outline it on the Trello board, really study that process and find out, what do your clients value receiving from you? If you haven't signed up for my group coaching call, I do them free. It's like a season of giving. I'm doing free group coaching calls every Wednesday. There's a link in the description, because I would love to help you divulge this, and I would love to help you kind of undo that mindset of like, if I'm not a business coach and if I'm not outlining tangible money results, that means nobody at all is going to buy my offer. Right? Is this making sense for you? So if you begin by focusing on your client's journey right now, it's going to take you out of that mindset. Yes, letting the musts go. Yeah, who told you that? Like, I would encourage you to start challenging, like, who told me that? Like, does that feel right with me? Is that making me feel any more worthy in my work? Go to the places, such as your past clients, who have made you feel worthy for your work, and fill up there first, right? Fill up from the inside out. So, focusing on the client's journey. Yeah, I think there's, pardon me, I think there's one slot left. So there's a group link in the description. To those of you that don't know, I'm doing 6 weeks of giving, of doing these group calls for 6 participants maximum to get some one-on-one time with me in a Zoom call. So it's really fun. The last participants really got a lot of clarity, actually, and really got a lot of breakthroughs, even though they each had about like 10 or 15 minutes with me. But I'll be able to kind of intuitively tune in more as to what's going on here. But the first place I would invite you to look at is these notions of what these past coaches have told you, and this is not necessarily working for you. Is that belief serving you? Focus on filling up where your worth is and get validated by that, which is your past clients, the past transformations you have provided, and getting excited about creating your client's journey with your own gifts, right? So again, this exercise, the next step of the process that I would encourage you all to do now that you've taken inventory of everything that you have, is create a Trello board. Create a Trello board of your client processes, your favorite clients specifically, or the clients that have gotten the most awesome transformations or were the most joyful and awesome to work with. Create like a step-by-step Trello board and allow yourself to like study it, like you're studying a literary masterpiece, because it is. Doing so, what that creates, it creates stories, it creates analogies, it creates anecdotes, it creates understanding and perspective shifts of where the client was and where they were at the end of the session, which all create epic marketing. And this is what allows you to claim expertise, is not in these giant umbrella things, but in those small pieces of the journey that you take your clients upon. Like I said, my understanding in the beginning of this video, my understanding of how you all are spinning, of where you're looking for your answers, of what that has cost you financially, emotionally, energetically. My understanding of that has come from me studying this clarity problem and me studying that Trello board. So that's what I would encourage you to do as the next step of taking inventory, is instead of looking outward, again, focus on your own amazing creation and get excited about it. That's sales wizardry, is this inside out approach. A lot of times, like I said, I usually don't teach marketing until like way later in the process, because by the time that my clients and individuals like really are like, oh my God, look at this creation. Like, my boyfriend made this, and like, look at this pyramid, oh my God, this organite. It has copper in it, it has gold flakes. They are so fascinated with their own work that any notion of comparison, any notion of other coaches' languages, any notion of like anything really goes away, and they just become so filled up on their own self-worth that they don't need to do tons of affirmations or tons of inner work about feeling like they're worthy of receiving that high-ticket client, because they're creating the evidence in front of them on that Trello board, right? Is this making sense? I only have like one more step to here. Again, create the journey. Focus on what you did step by step, what has created that specific challenge, so you can understand that deeply. The last step of the process when it comes to marketing. And I know what some of you may say, like, well, Marina, but if I focus on this like micro problems and micro challenges, is that going to limit me from working with people who may have other problems? Like Natasha may say, like, well, if I focus on, you know, infertility only for like a week, is that going to bar me from working with people who, say, have chronic fatigue or something? No, absolutely not. Because like, is my giving you these clarity exercises, does that bar me from then teaching you sales once you're comfortable with your offers? Like, right? That doesn't make sense, you know? Sorry, I'm getting texted. So does this necessarily bar you? No. But what it does create is the clarity that you're looking for. That your ability to understand a challenge becomes so clear that imagine if you're writing a piece of marketing, like I just did to you, be like, all right, I know you have spun your wheels, you're searching outwards, your mindset comes from this comparison and scarcity and not enough. It has created this unrest and feeling like there's something wrong with you. It has created this mindset of like, I need to throw money at the situation and I need more healing. Right? Notice how much more connected you are, because you're like, fuck, she really understands me. And that attracted you to this live stream, and that attracted you into my world. Does that mean you won't be fascinated about anything else I might say in the future about sales? No, you're probably gonna be like, man, this chick knows her shit. Right? So don't be afraid to claim these pieces of expertise in the coffee bean of your journey. Because that's what creates the Frappuccino, right? By choosing the most amazing coffee bean. And that's what creates epic stories. That's what creates epic marketing. The last piece of action step that I have for you to kind of undo this notion of like, what do I write about? is practice talking about these challenges and about your work in general to like a variety of people. This is an exercise that I give to my clients a little bit later in the process, after we have divulged some of this and have taken some of the inventory, left out what we don't want, have divulged some of the more specifics. Practice speaking about it to like, you know, in different ways. I'll give you an example. So I have a sunset crew that I go watch sunset with here. And the way people understand what you do is going to be different regardless. Every single individual on that group call had essentially this exact same problem, but how they expressed it was all completely different, right? One person was like, I'm feeling like this, you know, download is coming in, but it's not quite settling. I'm feeling like I'm spinning my wheels on my niche and crystal clear messaging, and therefore I can't attract my high-ticket clients. I feel like I can't, I just can't get my shit together, and I feel like I'm not enough because I don't know what to write about. All of those people have the same challenges, but notice how each one of them has expressed it in a different way. I have this person that I was talking to at Sunset who joined my Sunset crew, and he asked me what I do, and I explained to him, like, I help transformational service-based entrepreneurs with sales, marketing, and offer creation from an energetic as well as strategic perspective, and I teach people psychic development. When he's like, oh my God, there's this person I want you to connect. Sunset crew. Yeah, I have a Sunset crew. There's a person I want to connect you with. She does what you do. And I'm like, I was curious. I'm like, what does she do? And the way that he expressed it, he was just like, she telecommutes with her customers and works on personal development. Right? So for him, telecommuting, because he's like not an entrepreneur. So for him, it's like telecommuting. Duh. And for us, it's like Zoom calls is a part of our reality. Right? By talking to a wide variety of individuals, you're going to begin to grab like different confidence and the ability to shape shift and mold your message depending on the audience, right? Not the other way around. Because then you can simply show up where you are called and sign a client at the line at Starbucks, or for me, it was at a kombucha bar, simply because I was really present with her, and she's a birth doula. And I was like, yeah, a lot of transformational entrepreneurs, they have these like wide variety of modalities, and they don't know how to like put them into an offer, and it just confuses them. And she's just like, oh, you like get me, right? And I simply was just like explaining it, but she's not in this online space. She doesn't know a lot of the lingo of like alignment and next level and 10K months. Like, she doesn't know any of that shit, So practice speaking to people that are offline. Practice speaking with individuals who you may not think might be your ideal clients. Practice speaking to a child. Practice speaking to like a 5-year-old. If you're a woman in a highly like feminine transformational modality, see if you could explain what you do to a man. It's going to challenge you in explaining to different people how and what you do, which is going to give you so much more vocabulary that is so much more rich, that is so much more outstanding, that is so much more eye-catching, and so much more personable. So the notion of attracting a high-ticket client for your work is one conversation, meaning like one post, one live stream that hit the spot. When you begin doing group courses, which I recommend doing after you have worked with people one-on-one, because then you really can understand like how is it that they're expressing themselves, what are some of the consistencies. It's going to be a lot easier to then to market out to a wider group of people. But in the meantime, focus on the things that are right here in front of you. Do your best to not zoom out, because that's what's overwhelming you. I think this is a good place to end, because I've been talking for exactly an hour. Does anybody have questions about all of the steps that I have outlined of taking inventory, shifting your mindset to you having the foundation now, focusing on client journeys, focusing on one specific consistency for your posts, focusing on speaking to a wide variety of individuals just for fun, just so you can really hammer down the message and really feel out your voice and be like, I really like how I explained that. That was really cool. I really like how I explained my work to that mechanic. That was really freaking cool. Maybe I'll write a post, because it's going to attract like an audience that you may not know, but may need your work. And this is how you do the non-niche approach, which is what I've been doing. Which, I mean, I have a niche if you really look at it, but the way that individuals function and the kind of mode of operation that people, have, and their like mental, psychological, energetic propensities are all so different. And the reason being is just simply I talk about the same problem in a wide variety of angles and can still help a wide variety of people. So by focusing in on these specifics, it actually expands and creates an abundance of individuals that you can have in your audience, that you can strike up conversations with, that then leads to more confidence on sales calls, more confidence on podcasts. If you like guest podcasts, more confidence in like public speaking gigs, whatever it might be, right? So does anybody have any questions? I wanted to bring up a couple of announcements that are happening. So I just finished up with my Divine CEO, which is my first group program. A lot of this process, what I outlined here is just step one of the process. And it was an 8-week program, and there's more. We go into offer creation in such more depth. We go into market research. We go into sales, energy, and mindset. We go into coding, energetic coding. I'm not an expert in coding, but I've been able to code my offers so that clients get triple the amount of investments, self-trust, and heightened sensitivity to their psychic abilities. We go into energetics of client attraction and how to create clients out of thin air, essentially going through the framework of emotional, energetic, psychological, strategic. We go through a variety of different ways that you can market, because a lot of people just get so caught up with, I'm writing a post, when in fact you can do workshops. Your strategy could be something like playing guitar out in the park and seeing who comes up to you. Like, that's still a strategy, right? Your strategy could be going to meetup groups or Toastmasters. Your strategy could be, to guest podcast on 5 podcasts per month. That's still a strategy, right? So we go through a variety of different ways that you can market that serves you and your mode of creation the most. We go through taking a look at how you create and manifest. And all of this is packed in a course. Next week, I'm selling that in my Offer Lab 5-day course, all about creating high-ticket offers. The main mindset shifts, some of which you have brought up, offer creation and marketing from the standpoint of more strategic implementation. I'm selling both of these together, and it's like 20 something hours of pretty much all of my educational material with worksheets for under $1,000. I still haven't felt up in the pricing yet, but I just wanted to give you a sneak peek as to what's coming next week for Black Friday. So if that's something that interests you, PM me. I am accepting one-on-one clients, and I have created payment options that are a little bit more accessible instead of paying in full, like right away. And I have the Magician. The Magician is my newest offer that focuses on psychic development solely. We can tie it into however way you want to work with your psychic abilities, especially if you want to increase your psychic abilities in business. So the Magician is actually slightly cheaper than my one-on-one business containers. The reason being for that, because I don't necessarily guarantee a specific outcome for it's limitless, but it's also one that has the highest propensity to create miracles. Because when you start to connect with the quantum field of all that there is, some people call it divine, some people call it God, some people call it source, some people take a more scientific approach of taking a look at it as the quantum field. It's literally the space of miracles. It's literally limitless in its potential. So if those are some of the things that interest you, those are some of the ways that you can work with me. If you are not in a position to work with me yet, I do have those free group calls that are limited to 6 participants maximum every Wednesday. I'm going to do them until the end of the year, because it's my way of giving back to my community and connecting with all of you and allowing you to experience a little bit of me and my work and how I work individually with you. If you are interested in the course bundle, we're fixing up the landing page and everything like that over the weekend, me and my assistant. But if that's something that interests you, please go ahead, PM me, and I will give you the link and the payment and everything like that. So as far as pricing, the pricing of all of my offers, it goes from the minimum being $350 down payment, and it goes up to $8,000 depending on which package, the intensive amount support that you choose. So just to give you kind of a ballpark as far as how you can start with the levels of investments of either buying the coursework. The coursework also has the option of buying 3 one-on-one sessions with me. So for the Black Friday, that's going to be $1,500. The course bundle is going to be $700. So there's going to be payment plans available for all of those. So if this is something that interests you, please feel free to PM me. We'll work out a payment plan if you need that flexibility, because I know it's still COVID and it's hard for people. So I think that sums it up, unless you all have any more questions. If you're watching the replay, please feel free to post questions. I hope you all enjoyed this live stream and got immense value, and some of you got a chance to get coached. And I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. So I'll talk with you soon on the next live stream. Have a good one.